Alright, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Hera versus Sora Kuma, two Age of Empires 2 players battling it out in the $20,000 EGC Genesis qualifiers. This is the decider round, so the winner gets into the main event to be one of the 8 main event participants. Hera, of course, very large name in Age of Empires 2, whereas if you have been watching A-tier tournaments or qualifiers for S-tier tournaments, you may have encountered Sora Kuma. He's a high-level Taiwanese player, but he never was considered an expert. So him being in the deciders here is a bit of a surprise. He may have been grinding AoE 4 for a long time, I don't know, but it's possible that he was like, I sort of reached my limits in AoE 2, might as well try myself in AoE 4, and I'm gonna grind quite a bit. I haven't looked into what type of bracket he had, but the fact that you are here after a bunch of best of ones probably means that he has a certain level of consistency. It's gonna be a best of 3, and the players will be allowed to pick any civilization, but once they've won with a certain civilization, they won't be able to pick that civ again. With that being said, let's jump straight into the first game over here. Hold on while I bring that up. So, I'm gonna apologize in advance for the level of my casting, because the thing is that I have to cast these games before they disappear from the players' profiles. Because as things stand, the player profiles only contain a certain amount of recorded games, and all of these games were played today. So if Hera plays 20 games tomorrow, these games will disappear and I will never be able to cast them again. So I've been casting for a grand total of 14 hours if I include my casting time on the EGC mainstream, and I've been recording YouTube content for like 4 hours now, trying to cast the good qualifier sets for my own YouTube while I still can. So on the left side of the map we will have Hera playing as the French in blue, and on the right side we'll have Sora Kuma opening up with the Russ. Finally a non-French mirror. Well, it's not really a mirror civilization matchup at all, but basically, most of the time we are seeing French mirrors on Dry Arabia. It makes me feel good that we're seeing a French versus Rus matchup, although both of these civilizations are pretty popular, so it's not something that we haven't seen a lot of in ranked games. I still believe that the French versus Rus is a little bit more entertaining than French mirrors. So the two civilizations actually have pretty similar identities over here. The Rus is also an early knight civilization, pretty strong economy early on. French, same thing. I think early economy is slightly better for the Rus, but once we get to like mid-feudal age, late feudal age, the French can start to take over. You see that Hera actually aggroed the wolf here, which is pretty important because you want to deny your opponent from taking down those wolves, and you see Hera is actually coming in to kill the huntables himself, because he wants to prevent his opponent from doing it. Every deer that Sora Kuma kills gives him 10 gold, and you see, Hera somehow is firing a lot more rapidly with that scout. I have seen it in the set that he played previously, and I honestly don't know how he's doing it. There is probably some sort of micro involved in that, maybe something like he needs to use attack move or something. I honestly don't know. But it very much seems like there is a way to just fire faster with that scout. That scout would have a pretty slow attack rate. You see 3.75 is their attack speed. Like, they do one hit or one shot per almost 4 seconds. But that was much faster for Hera, and this is actually a bit of a disaster for Sora Kuma. He lost a lot of potential huntable kills out there, and you see he's only at 90 bounty. By this time of the game, you probably want to be at like 120, 130, and you are aiming to secure 250 gold from the bounty, so you're gonna have that tier 2 of bounty and get the 10% food getter rate. So I love how Hera was taking down the huntables to prevent his opponent from doing that. Now what Sora Kuma really needs is 1 or 2 wolves so that he can actually get up to the required amount of gold. For the second tier, you see he's taking on the huntables here. He's got 1 idle scout down south. I think he just forgot about this one for now. Now when it comes to Sora Kuma, his macro is not bad, but he's far from the top AoE 2 players. Or at least that's the case in Age of Empires 2. We'll see what's up in AoE 4. He's aging up with the Golden Gate, which will allow him to buy stone for the second town center. It could work, but I feel like going 2 TCs against the French player is just a little risky. If you have a lot of spearmen defending, you might be able to do it and just go defensive towers as well. But I still believe it's a little risky going 2 TCs versus the French player. Looks like Sora Kuma, if he kills all the huntables here, he's gonna have enough gold for tier 2. So it wasn't perfect as a Dark Age for him, but he's still gonna have a pretty decent amount of bounty gathered. I think the best you can hope for in Dark Age is reaching tier 2. Of course, the more gold you gather, the better, because obviously the gold that you get for killing the animals gets added to your resource bank. And you see, Sora Kuma's scout is firing a lot slower than Hera's scout was. So I think what Hera was doing is like, shoot with the scout, move, shoot again, and that might reset the attack delay. Because you see, Sora Kuma is shooting, and I'm not sure if he's trying to check out what Hera was doing, because to me it really felt like it. He was trying to replicate what Hera was doing, but I honestly don't know what exactly Hera's trick is there. That might be worth a YouTube video, to be honest. But for now, I feel like Hera will keep that secret, although considering that he is streaming his games in most cases, I don't think it's gonna remain a secret for long. But it seems like he's the only player that's capable of doing that right now. House of Cavalry, or School of Cavalry to be precise, is coming in for Hera for the Knights, whereas on the other side, looks like we'll have a defensive tower and the barracks to defend with for Sora Kuma. Now the tower here is also gonna buff the wood income on the lumber camp, something I appreciate a lot for Sora Kuma. Will make your wood economy a lot more efficient with the Rus, and that also helps adding that second TC. So I can see Spearman defense into a 2 TC boom work here. Now one thing that Hera could do to punish that is just to go for 2 TC boom himself, and he should be able to just match the eco of the opponent. And as I said, once we get to like mid to late feudal age, that's actually a territory where the French economy will start to take over with the faster training villagers and the cheaper eco upgrades. Speaking of cheaper eco upgrades, you got survival techniques coming in already for Hera. He has moved out for the huntables over here. It's actually one big patch of huntables instead of 2 small ones. You see, there is 7 deer per patch, and you see that this is both patches for Hera. That's actually pretty neat for him, because he doesn't have to walk very far to take all these huntables. He doesn't need a second mill on a second patch of hunt. Looks like Sora Kuma won't be able to take his hunt because Hera will deny it from him, and that's the big problem right now for Sora Kuma. His food might be problematic. You see, it looks like there might be a TC coming up on the gold, but the Spearman will have to secure that location first for Sora Kuma. Looks like the scouts will come in to try and harass Hera, though Sora Kuma will just try to use them as a distraction. Now, he shouldn't lose them because those scouts could be very helpful at ferrying in deer, but I like how he tried to harass Hera here. That's a nice idea. So one of the things that Sora Kuma can do with his scouts is that he could grab the Professional Scouts upgrade. It's pretty expensive. It is 75 wood and 275 gold. But one thing that he could do with that is just pick up the huntables here and take them away from Hera. That's pretty common to see when Rus is being played, that you just swoop in with your scouts and just pick up the carcasses that your opponent would be trying to gather. Second TC up here for Sora Kuma, that's going to protect his gold mine for the time being. He won't have a super reliable food income, as I said though, because he won't have access to either of those patches of huntables. So far, Hera is sort of locking down the map with all those knights. Just look at the vision here for Hera real quick. He's got a very, very good vision on these crossings over here with the knight. He's got knights in the middle as well, supported by a scout's vision. And I think the problem here for Sora Kuma is that sure, that TC protects the vills, but the knights can still try to charge in and just force them to stay idle. Looks like we'll have a defensive tower coming in for Sora Kuma. Now, the thing here is that you can fit 8 villagers inside a tower, so that's actually going to help allowing Sora Kuma to get more vills out on this patch of huntables. I really feel like the Rus is just such a good early defensive civilization with these structures, and I can understand why Sora Kuma picked it. I feel like he knows that he's up against a potentially stronger opponent, so having early defense can help so much not to get killed in Feudal Age. You see, Hera did dive in and picked off a villager from Sora Kuma. Meanwhile, Hera is just going all in on the hunt here on the left side. Sora Kuma has just been going for Spearman defense, but he seems to be a little stuck in his base, and in the end, he's going for defensive tower on the left side, going for a hunting cabin here. That's actually misplaced hunting cabin here by Sora Kuma. So the hunting cabin acts as a mill here, but it also generates gold based on the amount of trees that are close to it when it's finished. So for Sora Kuma, this hunting cabin needed to be here, because that way it would also give a trickle of gold for Sora Kuma. You see, this hunting cabin will give him basically no gold trickle. That's a small thing, but that's something that players will need to polish as we go deeper into competitive Age of Empires 4, simply because that's sort of an opportunity lost over there. A hunting cabin being over here would give him like 20 gold per minute trickle or so. Looks like we'll have double stables coming in for Sora Kuma now. He's at 36 villagers. Actually, that's Hera. 34 for Sora Kuma. So it looks like those town centers had a lot of idle time, plus villagers getting absolutely slaughtered. So this is the problem here for Sora Kuma. Yeah, the town center is here to try and protect your villas, but the knights will charge in. That forces the villagers back into the TC, they will be idle, and then Hera can just get the Chivalry upgrade and heal up those knights. In fact, there is Chivalry. The moment I said that, he was thinking about the same thing. So now he can just heal up those knights and charge in whenever ready again. Looks like there is a double stable play here from Sora Kuma. And remember that if he stabilizes here, he's still gonna have the advantage in terms of villagers. But for now, he needs to stabilize and sort of avoid losing more villagers, because so far, if you look at the KD, it's 4-0. And I think most of that was villagers in the favor of Hera. Hera actually spots the knights in here. When you look at pure combat skills of those knights versus the early knights, that's actually even. But the fact that the Royal Knights get bonus damage after charging in for a couple of seconds makes them slightly stronger compared to the early Knights of the Rus. So the Rus don't really want to take these fights over here. Of course, the other problem for the Rus is that they can't heal their Knights, whereas the French can. That's the bigger deal here. This is why I'm vouching for Chivalry being a Castle Age upgrade. But I think I said that in many casts that I did. I think Chivalry is just a little too powerful in Feudal, because you shouldn't be able to save these expensive units and heal them up full HP. They're just so powerful already. The only way that you can efficiently defend against them is if you can slowly grind down their HP, right? But it's not really possible here. And the French can just heal them up and then charge in again. Here come the Spearmen. A second barracks will be built by Sora Kuma. He is up to 43 villagers, Hera is at 43 as well, so head-to-head are the two players, and it looks like Sora Kuma is missing out on those knights, which is weird because they weren't hidden in a stealth forest or anything. The Spearmen now have the hardened upgrade, and it looks like Sora Kuma will just retreat to the safety of his base. Meanwhile, though, he's gonna get a couple of will kills here on Hera's gold mine. Hera's a little slow to react here. That's -2 or 3 wills from Hera. Hera, however, this is something that we haven't seen. He went up to Castle Age, and now he's cleaning up with the villagers on the left side of the map. Oh boy. Now Sora Kuma is in trouble, I believe. Because Hera being in Castle Age means that he can go for the Veteran Royal Knights, and that's just gonna steamroll everything that Sora Kuma has. And... oh no, Sora Kuma. That's not something that you can afford against Hera. He was probably so busy looking at this fight in the middle, which is something that he's losing anyways, that he just didn't notice all those vills getting slain. He's down to 40 vills and still Feudal Age. His opponent is at 43 vills and Castle Age. Hera is really benefiting from that hunting upgrade, by the way. Now, Sora Kuma actually sends a couple of knights in here on the left, and if he starts killing those vills, he could still even things out, although it's gonna be difficult from now, because Hera's gonna start making Springolds. Hera loves his Springolds here, and I think that's actually a pretty nice addition against the knights of the opponent. Not a lot of knights are there, so having a unit that does a lot of damage with a single shot is actually pretty good at sniping down those valuable knights from Sora Kuma. Looks like these knights never really started killing vills here, which is an opportunity lost here for Sora Kuma. He could have used these knights to pick off 1 or 2 vills from Hera. Looks like he might be able to hit the gold mine, but by the time these knights come in, Hera's gonna react to that, so I feel like Sora Kuma's got the good idea when it comes to attacking. Is just by the time he actually gets to the point where he's like, okay, I'm gonna right-click the opponent's units here, it's just a little too late. You see now knights are coming in, so these guys will be forced back as well. And Sora Kuma did lose a lot of villagers here. I think he lost all but one on this patch of huntables on the left. He's now on the right side as well with the hunt. Looking at the resource income, that seems to be dead even, pretty much, between the two players. But of course, Hera is in Castle Age, so that helps quite a bit. Sora Kuma comes in with a raid. This is actually very, very good for him. First really good raid for Sora Kuma in a while. Was much needed, I would say. Hera is at 45 vills right now. Sora Kuma is at 51, so our red player is slowly taking over. And because Hera was chasing down those raids with his knights, he wasn't really able to punish Sora Kuma for this exposed gold mine here. And you see... Wait a minute. Oh, Hera doesn't see this, and Sora Kuma has a scout there. So Sora Kuma knows exactly when Hera's gold miners will be defenseless, and he will just try to keep charging in and harassing that. That's so annoying. And if he comes in with the knights over here on the left side, Hera could very well be in trouble. These are the type of things that Sora Kuma needs to do to sort of crawl back into this game, because he's up against a pretty big force of well-upgraded French Royal Knights in Castle Age. It's quite a lot of hardened spearmen in there though, so I don't think that Hera wants to commit against that one, because it wouldn't really be cost-efficient for him to fight that. Hera's gonna lose his scout over here as well. But this knight should go down to Hera's knight now. Hera's knights are way better in Castle Age. Sora Kuma needs to find a way to Castle Age, but that's just gonna be so difficult, because now his gold mine, the only legitimate gold mine that he can take safely, will be under siege by Springolds. So Sora Kuma will be forced to take a fight here, and that's gonna be an ineffective fight simply because his opponent has way better technology. Looks like we're seeing more and more knights coming in for Sora Kuma. He's got like a steady 10 idols, it seems. Most of that comes from the gold miners being idle. Sora Kuma would really benefit from a safer gold mine, but there's just none. All of those gold mines are very much exposed. I feel like he's doing the right things. It's just the fact that this game might just be a little too far gone in the favor of Hera. Not because of the villager discrepancy. In fact, the villager difference is favoring Sora Kuma right now. The big deal is that Hera is Castle Age, and he's got a fairly decent group of Castle Age knights, whereas Sora Kuma is sort of forever feudal. He's forced to take bad fights here because he's got weaker units, thanks to Feudal Age. And because he's taking weaker fights or bad fights, he's not gonna be able to pile up resources for Castle Age. Now, Sora Kuma can actually try to take stone and use the Golden Gate to sell that stone for gold. That's actually an option. You see, he's got 6 supplies here. So he could actually do quite a bit of an eco-balancing with that. Could be a nice move. So far, Hera is denying the resources, idling some villagers, but he's not actively killing them. Meanwhile, we have knights coming in from Sora Kuma. This will be spotted by Hera, so he knows exactly knights are here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some knights being sent back home to defend, or potentially new knights being dispatched to deal with this. I love how Hera has added a new scout, because I think he lost his starting scout to the knights before, so I love how he's added a new scout, and he's just like, okay, I'm just gonna play with a new scout here simply because I need vision, and that vision is so valuable. Speaking of vision, by the way, there is actually some vision over here for Sora Kuma. He might be overlooking the berries or potentially the trade opportunity here. Sees that Hera is not trading or going for the berries. Big fight in the middle though, and this is not necessarily a fight that Hera wants to take. That's a lot of spearmen, and it looks like Sora Kuma is cleaning things up here. It's Castle Age Knights, but I mean, that's a lot of Feudal Age spearmen. So Hera's gonna need something against that. What is that going to be? Springolds can technically work, but Springolds need some sort of meat shield in front of them. I feel like archers could be the best solution here, maybe men-at-arms. Hera's in a bit of a trouble here, because now that's a lot of spearmen that could come in. His opponent is still in Feudal Age, but you see the Springolds will go down quite easily to the infantry once the infantry gets close, and how many spears were killed by that Springold? 1 or 2 at maximum, so Springolds don't work really well against the spearmen of the opponent, and that siege workshop could also be set on fire pretty soon. And now Hera is the one off from his gold over here. In fact, if you look at Hera, he still has 9 villagers on gold back here, but that gold mine is about to run out. And Sora Kuma is gaining momentum. He's about to target the guild hall. Meanwhile, Hera getting another siege workshop up, healing up his knights. Looks like there's gonna be double ranges at it, so he's gonna play archers here. Sora Kuma still needs to find a way to Castle Age, I believe, because full Feudal Age Spearmen should not work here once Hera gets a couple of archers out. Still, he's holding on. Imagine what could have been the case if he doesn't lose like 6 villagers over here. Looks like Hera is going to launch a counterattack, I like that. He can't take this fight directly, so he's gonna force his opponent to defend using his mobility. Now Sora Kuma isn't messing around, he's just spamming out spearmen like crazy, and there is the Castle Age landmark, which is the Abbey of Trinity. It's the more aggressive landmark for the Rus. It's going to allow you to start making warrior monks. Could help quite a bit when it comes to trying to get a conversion against those knights. Looks like knights will come in here. There is some spearmen to try and discourage them from this push, but I don't think it's enough. For Sora Kuma, he's also got some knights in, but this is gonna be an inefficient fight. Siege Workshop here could also be set on fire, however, so a lot of expensive buildings from Hera could go down. And while Hera is most definitely doing a decent job raiding, oh boy, he could stop the Castle Age progress and that could be massive. Sora Kuma is just gonna lose so many villas on that landmark. Oh, that hurts so badly. And well, yes, Sora Kuma destroyed the siege workshop, and he even killed a couple of villagers from Hera on the wood line, I believe. Might even find the villagers on the north. I just feel like the Abbey of Trinity even gets cancelled. Oh, that's just ugly. Because if the Abbey of Trinity gets cancelled here, or it's getting destroyed, you're gonna lose the majority of your resources invested into the Castle Age progress. And you see, Sora Kuma, sort of with low resources now, he can't afford that age up once again. Actually, he's making the building elsewhere, so it looks like he was able to get the majority of resources back. I think he just deleted the building. That's probably the best thing he can do. If you delete the building, you should get the appropriate portion of the resources back, I believe. Where is that being built? It's being built here on the far left. It's a very awkward position, and once again, Hera's gonna punish that. Because you see, at this point, Castle Age progress is being so heavily delayed here. And if Sora Kuma just built it right here, or so, it would be impossible for Hera to deny it, and Sora Kuma could be up to Castle Age by now, having like a billion spearmen. Look at the swarm. It's 34 army right now for him. Hera is at 31 as well, though, and I think Hera's got a big mass of archers back at home just waiting to move out. I think some villagers also got selected accidentally. Oh no, they're moving up to repair the guild hall. It's a nice move. What? That's a little ambitious from Sora Kuma, if I may say so. He just wants to go for a hunting cabin on the opponent's mill, and seeing that, you know, he can't place his own hunting cabin on the berries, he's gonna try to torch that down. Hera should be able to dispatch a couple of knights to fight that off. Speaking of fighting off stuff, a couple of villagers will go down on Hera's wood line here from a raid. I think it's like 5 villas or so. Despite the fact that there was a tower here and some knights to defend as well, Hera did lose considerable villager numbers. Hera is still playing on one town center right now. Currently, Sora Kuma is at 71 villagers, Hera is only at 63, so those villager kills really mattered out there, and it looks like Sora Kuma will just pull his villagers back. He's able to finish the Abbey of Trinity, and he's gonna go for the warrior monks, which you get a discount on when you're training them on the Abbey of Trinity, and you can start picking up relics. Now, the idea for Sora Kuma could be to try and get a conversion on those knights, but with those archers around, the archers can just focus down the warrior monk. I don't think that's gonna be possible. More stables being built here by Sora Kuma, but it doesn't have the veteran knight upgrade, or at least he didn't have it a couple of seconds ago. It just finished. He's got the spearman as well, but I still believe that the knights of Hera plus the archers in here is just a more powerful force than what Sora Kuma has. The warrior monk does get picked off quite early on. There was a nice find over there by Hera. I just don't think that the monks will do a lot here for Sora Kuma. I'm not saying that it was a bad decision to go for the Abbey of Trinity as the H3 landmark, because I'm not sure if the High Trade House would have been more helpful. But one thing is sure, those warrior monks should not be able to accomplish much here. For Sora Kuma, who loses 2 stables very, very easily here on the front, trying to get some more knights out. He wants to take one decisive fight here. And Hera looks like he's going to see the charge of the infantry. It's all about picking off those infantry units with those archers. Sora Kuma is still being denied from his gold, so despite the fact that he has the villager lead, he's got a lot of idle time because of this gold mine and a lot of farms being denied. Gotta love how the farms are built around this stone mine over here. He's like, okay, I need farms close to my TC, but there is a stone mine in the way. Might as well place them out here. That's going to be a scary massive spearman for Sora Kuma though. So I feel like if he's able to take a fight against the knights, that's gonna be good. Hera's doing a nice job so far using the archers to shield his knights though. Cavalry comes in here for Sora Kuma, but I don't think that he's got enough cavalry to take down all the archers, and if the archers survive, the spearmen will go down. There is a forward siege workshop coming in by Hera, and if you look at this army, I think it's just way bigger for Hera right now. 44 versus Sora Kuma's 19 only. It's gonna be a cleanup, and while I think that Sora Kuma played well, I think he just lost way too many villagers to those raids from Hera, and he got punished for a forward gold mine quite a bit. I'm not gonna lie, this gold mine is difficult to play with. It's very, very exposed, and Hera's got a back gold mine, so Hera had a slightly better gold spawn for him. In fact, it was a much better gold spawn. But it's also the fact that French have a very, very efficient economy, and as I said, beyond mid-feudal age, they actually take over compared to the Rus. Small things went wrong for Sora Kuma here, like losing those villagers on the left side, having a bagged gold mine, getting his castle age delayed. That's actually a pretty big thing as well. That his castle age progress was delayed, so he wasn't able to get as many upgrades in as he wanted before he had to take a fight here in castle. But now his entire eco is idle, and if you look at the resource income per minute, that's gonna drop very heavily for Sora Kuma, simply because he has no villagers working anymore. All those archers and knights just running past the towers and town centers just to deny all the economy. Sora Kuma currently is at 77 villagers, Hera is at 76, so it's dead even, but Hera's got 0 idle time back at home, whereas Sora Kuma is just under so much pressure. You see this TC is barely standing over here, so at this point I feel like Sora Kuma is close to a GG situation. Hera's got 48 army, Sora Kuma, I couldn't check it, but I don't really see any numbers out here for him, so probably less than 10. Hera takes game number 1, strong showing with the French over here. Sora Kuma played well, however, so I feel like there is potential for this one to be a close set. I loved how he used the Rus, and now that he lost this game over here, he's gonna be able to use the Rus again, but Hera won't be able to use the French. So I wonder if we're going to see a Rus mirror, because Hera loves to use his Rus as well. Hera is most focused on playing French and the Rus, whereas it looks like Sora Kuma himself loves playing Rus. So hang on for a moment while I bring up the second game of the series. Looks like it's gonna be on Highview, a map that we don't see that often. Oftentimes the defeated player decides to go for Hillandale as their home map, but we're going in for Highview, a map that's very similar to Arabia, but we have a lot more stealth forests. Sora Kuma is once again going to play the Rus, and it looks like Hera doesn't want to play a Rus mirror. Instead, he goes for the English. Now, the English can be a counterpick to early knight civilizations like the Rus or the French, if they are very, very heavy on the spearman play supported by longbows. But still, it's gonna be difficult to do damage with the longbows when Sora Kuma's Rus allows him to go for very efficient defensive towers. On the left side of the map, we'll have Hera as blue English, and on the right side, we will have Sora Kuma as red with the Rus. You see he's coming in with the hunting cabin immediately. If we look at the map, this is what I was talking about. This map is just like Arabia, but you do have a lot of stealth forest, especially on the right and left side of the map. The middle is mostly just open field. Now, as much as the map for Sora Kuma was bad in the previous game, I think this one is actually pretty acceptable. The gold mines are kind of far from the TC, but at least they're on the back, so there is some positives. Hera's primary gold is on the front, so that's not ideal. I think on Highview, the gold mines spawn a lot further away from your town center than they do on other maps, so It's pretty standard that you have far away gold mine, but Hera's one is on the front, and his opponent's one is at the back. Now, Hera doesn't need a lot of gold to play with early on, because if you remember, the English will go for a spearman plus longbow composition, so that's food and wood heavy. You just need gold to age up, potentially grab some upgrades, and that's basically it. So, as things stand, we will have 2 on wood for Sora Kuma. Of course, being the Rust player, he's just gonna look for the huntables to kill, he's not gonna mine gold. In fact, if we look at his bounty, he's at 15 bounty only. Looks like he hasn't found a lot of huntables yet. Oh, that's so unlucky. He has found the huntables of Hera here, but they're all slain. And these have been killed by Hera, I believe. I am fairly certain Hera is intentionally killing the huntables of his opponent. So he probably looked at the previous game and said, look, I just gave too much gold for my opponent, and you see, Hera is killing the huntables here. He wants to deny all that gold income from his opponent. And that's the way that you play against the Rust. You even aggro the wolf, which is still considered a bitey infantry. I didn't even see that comment at the bottom that says, they provide no food together, only death. There are some sort of Easter egg-like comments in here, and those are one of those. The other one is the sheep. I actually showcased that on stream. If you select a sheep that's still alive, the game tells you you're a monster for killing it for food. There it is, you monster. I'm honestly not sure if those were like some sort of cheesy things that were just left in there from the betas, but I really love how there is some stuff like that being mixed in. Kinda adds a nice little spice to the game. Golden Gate for Sora Kuma coming in. And you see he's at 95 bounty. He's even struggling to get to 100 bounty right now. That's very, very underwhelming of a start for the Russ. You see, Sora Kuma was able to take down this patch of huntables, but that's basically it. He's looking for wolves. He's not gonna find any. And he's gonna get the first bounty tier. That's basically it. That's actually a difficult situation to be in for the Russ, because you would just struggle so badly for gold. And the thing is that the whole concept of using the Golden Gate relies on you getting a decent amount of gold from the bounty system. Because you need a lot of gold to be able to buy the stone. For 300 stone, if you want to build a second town center, you need 200 gold using the Golden Gate. And you see, Sora Kuma doesn't have it. And it's not like you're just gonna sell some food on the Golden Gate for that, because you're limited by the amount of transactions available. So this is actually a serious concern right now for Sora Kuma. Looks like he was able to get up to 170 using those huntables. I think he also found a wolf somewhere around over here. So it's not the end of the world, but it definitely wasn't an ideal start here for our red player. Ooh, he's getting 2 wolves in. That's such a life-saving thing right now for him. Killing 2 wolves over there for 50 gold. That's massive. That's pretty massive. Almost life-saving, I would say. He's already bought 150 stone, and he will try to do it once again. Now, the English will struggle quite badly when it comes to pushing against the 2 TC defense, simply because their longbows won't be able to do that much of a damage. Of course, they can prepare for a siege, but that takes time, and it's very, very expensive. Ooh, wait a minute. So, the English can actually go for some battering rams as we progress deeper into the game, but I feel like the ram pushes are very, very risky for any civilization. Because if it fails, you invested a lot of resources into absolutely nothing. So there's always some risk involved. And I love how Sora Kuma is bringing in 2 war wolves over here. Such a helpful thing. That's gonna give him the second bounty tier here. He actually missed out on this wall, but he probably didn't spot that in the stealth forest. We are going to see a couple of knights coming in soon from Sora Kuma, if he can afford it. He might not be able to afford the knights. In fact, he doesn't have gold, because instead of making a knight, he used that gold to buy himself the stone for the second TC. The TC is coming up at a beautiful spot on the berries and on the gold. That's a textbook level of a town center. Here come the longbows, as the villagers will jump into the tower. Of course, the longbows can force idle time this way, but that's basically it. And you see, just one or two knights can actually do so much here. The horsemen won't be able to accomplish a whole lot simply because they basically have no base pierce armor, so the archers actually do pretty decently against them if they can keep the distance. But the knights, even one or two knights, can just smash all those longbows in face. This is looking pretty decent for Sora Kuma, I'm not gonna lie. I think his civilization is probably the better one right now. Hera's gonna need spears against this one. He's coming in with spears already though. So as things stand, Hera's gonna be at like 6 or so longbowmen. We'll have some spears being mixed in here. Now the trick is that you gotta limit your longbowman production just to be able to pop out spearmen consistently. Because you need a lot of spears here to fight against future knights which are about to come in. Simply because your longbows won't do that much of a damage. Your longbows will still be your primary unit to kill villagers with. But you need a lot more spearmen to support just to make sure that they ever get to the point where they can kill villagers. 2 TCs up for Sora Kuma now. Looks like Hera is sticking with 1 for the time being. He has built a mill on the first batch of huntables. That's basically all for him. Another defensive tower on the way for Sora Kuma. It's a nice spot. This tower basically means that the longbows could not be able to push the wood line or the berries here. Looks like that's the first villager down though from Sora Kuma. And oh boy, the tower is getting denied. That's a problem for our red player here. That's a considerable problem. The tower was just a little too late, and now those longbows will roam free. The villager will get picked off before the hunting cabin gets finished, and that's a lot of dead villagers from Sora Kuma. That's exactly the type of fight that Hera needs to take to make sure that he can just sustain a 1 TC play against a 2 TC player. Because if he keeps killing villagers like that, there isn't really gonna be a villager difference, despite the fact that Sora Kuma will be on 2 TCs. In fact, Sora Kuma is at 29 villas right now, Hera is at 29 as well, so that 2 TC advantage just disappeared with those longbows picking off some of those villas out there. Now then, some knights are coming in, and I see some hunting cabins placed all across the map here for Sora Kuma. Those will pay for their price eventually when it comes to gold income. But for now, what I'm really curious about is where Sora Kuma's army is at. And the answer is nowhere. Looks like he's spamming hunting cabins everywhere. Remember, he lost this game, or he lost the previous game, excuse me. So this is his home map. So he knows exactly what he's doing here, and it appears that his game plan is that he's placing hunting cabins in the stealth forests. Now, is that efficient? I'm not 100% sure. I think it might just be better to have a hunting cabin here, let's say, because the amount of gold you get is proportional to the amount of trees nearby when it's finished. And I feel like you just have more trees if you build it over here, for example, than building it over here in the stealth forest where you just have some scattered trees around. We could do tree counting, but I would prefer not to. I feel like this is like, what, 20 trees? You would easily have this much from this forest too. I'm not sure if this actually is a good game plan here. You see, 25 gold per minute. It's actually not that bad. But if you compare it to this one, actually 27 only. Or 17 actually. That's pretty surprising, I must say. 17 is pretty low for this hunting cabin here, by the way. That's what I'm surprised about. Usually your starting hunting cabin at tier 2 bounty gives you about 25 or so. Horticulture coming in for Sora Kuma. So these hunting cabins might actually pay for their price eventually. It's gonna take some time until they do, but 25 gold per minute trickle is nice. The thing here is that if Hera finds them, he can start burning them down. But that's a big if, because these units don't really see well through the stealth forests, so those might remain hidden there. That's one of the advantages for Sora Kuma, something that I didn't think about up until now, is that he can sort of hide those hunting cabins in there, and hunting cabins is just like adding villagers, it's extra economy. It's going to take a lot more time until they pay for their price, but infinite gold trickle is never a bad thing, right? Looks like Hera is still playing on 1 TC, adding quite a lot of farms now. It breaks my OCD that he hasn't placed this farm in the corner. Now in Age of Empires 4 you can fit farms perfectly around mills, and Hera is not doing that. Actually, it might work this way, because you see, if he places a farm here, like right here, that would also be affected. And this farm here would also be affected. So Hera might know something here. I will have to think about that, but it's possible that this is intentional by Hera. By misaligning these two farms on this side, what he would be able to accomplish is that he extends the influence radius to a farm here and here. So instead of having 8 farms in the influence radius, you would have 2 here, 3 here, that's 5, and 4 here, that's 9. So you could have 1 extra farm out there. Looks like Hera is marching around the stealth force over here. You see, you have so limited vision on this map, and this is why the English are a little bit scary to play right now. The English don't have a lot of mobility, so you look away for a second and your army could disappear, and it's just very, very difficult to spot incoming armies when the stealth forests are around. You see knights are charging in. A couple of villagers went down once again for Sora Kuma, so Hera is able to maintain rather even villager count right now. Actually, there's a pretty massive eco lead now for Sora Kuma, so he's taking over. It's now 50 villagers over 39, as part of that comes from this raid here. Pretty massive killing going on inside Hera's base, and looks like this time around Hera is the one that's not noticing it. Previous game it was Sora Kuma who didn't notice such a raid inside his base, and that's just gonna be such a big loss for Hera. It was like 8 villas or so. Hera is down to 31 villagers right now. This is the type of raid that the Sora Kuma really needed. Something that swings the battle in his favor. And it looks like Hera is not coming in with battering rams, but if that ram push fails, then he's just dead. It's such a big investment. His economy is much, much weaker than his opponent's one. And I feel like with that many knights around, Sora Kuma can hold that. The thing is that there isn't really a huge amount of spearmen here. We have, how much? 12? That's actually decent if your opponent has like, what? 6 or so knights? But there is also longbowman support, so if Sora Kuma has like 10, 12 knights, I think he can take this fight, not below that. Currently he is at 9 knights, so he's getting close to that. But if the spearmen abandon the longbows, there's a chance for Sora Kuma to jump on them. The tower's gonna go down, the huntables will be taken away from Sora Kuma. He's probably gonna lose the hunting cabin as well. But for now, he's just massing army. He knows exactly that Hera has invested into rams, so Hera will need to push here, because that's a big investment that he's making in here. There's a scout, by the way, from Sora Kuma that did spot the longbows, but now the longbows will pick it off. A third ram coming in. That's the usual magic number. 3 rams is the number that's extremely difficult to stop. And you see, Hera could go for the Golden Gate right away. You only have to take down 2 landmarks here for Hera. The Golden Gate and the starting town center. And the healing ability popped as well. But the spearmen are a little behind here, trying to mill that ram. So because of that, Sora Kuma was thinking about charging in. There's the palings for Hera, and right now Sora Kuma knows he can't fight this. He's just waiting for the opportunity to charge in on that group of infantry and archers. The Golden Gate is slowly going down here, something that's worth noting. For now, I think Sora Kuma can actually sacrifice that temporarily. Because behind this one, we have to highlight that he's raiding his opponent once again. Hera is coming in with the spearmen that are also affected by the network of castles, so Sora Kuma will have to retreat. And it looks like the Golden Gate is gonna go down over here after all, but that's a scary blob of knights. And I feel like that's enough knights to take this fight if they charge in on the spearmen. Because if you charge in on the spearmen, you'd pretty much annihilate most of them in the first charge. So you would have very, very little for Hera to fight with over here. Right now, Sora Kuma is at a whopping 58 villagers. Hera's army numbers are looking amazing, 53 villas, but only 34. Or, excuse me, 54 army for Hera and only 35 villas. So Hera's army is looking very good, but the eco is just so weak here. Looks like villagers are being pulled here to take down the rams. That's the usual thing that you do. Losing a couple of villas is not the end of the world. And it's all about taking down those rams. You want to save that stable, I think, here for Sora Kuma. The palings have been deployed, so this is not necessarily the most amazing fight ever for Sora Kuma. He does lose the stable, Does he have enough here? I'm not so sure. I am not so sure. Oh boy, it looks like he has it. Once the spearmen are gone, the knights are just gonna charge in, and this is why it's difficult to play the English here. You seem like you have a big army, but the moment the spearmen disappear, the knights will just annihilate the longbows. The longbows can't do anything against the knights here. The palings help a tiny bit, but it's not something that is enough to hold off knights. And now we're suddenly looking at 47 population only for Hera. Sora Kuma almost has double of that. And he's got quite a lot of knights in here. He's gonna finish off some rams as well. That, I think, was at least 3 rams going down from Hera. It's a massive amount of wood that goes down the drain as well. And Sora Kuma is living a happy life here. 2 town centers right now for him. He's even mining gold on the far left. Don't ask me why. It's probably because... where is the other big gold at? It's down here. So, like, he could still use these gold mines. It's a bit of a mystery to me why he's mining gold here, but he had some villagers here on the hunting cabin. I think that's a boar. And if that's a boar, which indeed it is, it's a very, very nice touch by Sora Kuma. He had some knights around, so he probably took down the boar at some point, and now he's just leveraging that bonus. He's also going for huntables here. He really will use that map control nicely, as we are seeing ranges being added. Looking at the resources for Hera, he's just starved out, so to say. He's got a lot of farms going for him. And with the English that helps a lot, although many of these farms, like these, are not in the influence radius of a mill, so they're not actually buffed here. Hera would need to delete this house and place a mill here, for example, to buff these, and maybe a mill here to buff these. Currently, if we look at the resource income, that's just way better for Sora Kuma in every aspect of the game. Especially gold income is pretty impressive. Of course, Hera's going for full trash unit composition, spearmen and archers. So it doesn't need a lot of gold right now. Looks like he wants to launch another attack with just 4 spearmen, but his opponent is already preparing with archers. And the thing is that right now Hera's got 4 archers in, so it's not like he's just gonna pick off the opponent's archers and then charge in. Looking pretty grim right now for Hera, especially because at this point Sora Kuma doesn't need to force anything. He knows exactly that he's ahead. He knows that his opponent is on 1 TC, he has scouted that, and he knows that he has killed quite a lot of villas from the opponent. Being on 2 town centers allows him to have a much better economy, and as the spectator we see the score, which is actually double for Sora Kuma now. The players don't see that, so Hera doesn't know how much behind he is, but it's very possible we'll see a Castle GG here. Sora Kuma going up once again with the Abbey of Trinity, and Hera is moving in with whatever he has left. The problem that he's facing is that there is going to be enough archers from Sora Kuma to fight this off. He probably doesn't even need the knights to defend this. Almost Castle Age in here, and I feel like Hera's chances of winning this game are gonna be gone, and we would be going into a decider game. Very nice play so far from Sora Kuma. He seems to love playing Russ here. He had a similar gameplay in the previous game, but that didn't really work out that much. This time around, this will work out well. And now it's Castle Age. Hera can't really do much now. He is just so far behind in terms of economy. Sora Kuma is at 77 villagers, Hera is sitting at 44 only. And like that ramp push being lost is already a massive investment down the drain for Hera. His opponent is going to be able to grab the upgrades soon. You see Veteran Archer immediately coming in. Interesting is the fact that we're seeing melee attack upgrade first. I feel like here, considering that Hera has a lot of longbows, or has the chance to mix in a lot of longbows right now, I feel like Pierce Armor is probably your best upgrade here, so you can keep your archers alive as long as possible and just pick off whatever is coming at you. And yeah, that could be a decider fight over here. I don't think that Hera has a chance. These are Castle Age Knights now. The archers are still Feudal Age ones, so no veteran upgrade just yet. But it doesn't really matter. All of the army here from Hera is gonna get cleaned up. And that should be a GG here from him, because he's got no chance of pushing Sora Kuma now. Sora Kuma evens things out over here in this one. He tried to play the exact same gameplay in the previous game. The difference was that this time around, Hera didn't have mobility with the knights to raid, so he had to take direct engagements. And also, This time around, Sora Kuma had a much easier job protecting that gold mine with the town center that he has added. In the previous game, it was such an exposed gold mine, it was almost impossible to protect even with a TC, whereas this time around, I feel like Sora Kuma was just able to keep that gold mine alive, and Hera eventually fell behind an eco, and Sora Kuma was just able to snowball the game. So decider game coming in here, Sora Kuma can still play French because he has won with the Russ, and Hera has won with the French, so Hera can't pick French. Looks like we're gonna have an interesting Civ pick here for Sora Kuma. Now that I did not expect. Hera's going for the Russ, which I think is somewhat predictable here, and I wonder if this is trying to be a counter pick from Sora Kuma because he's going for a Holy Roman Empire. The map is called Lipany, so it's a fairly open map as well. The two players actually spawn pretty close to each other. I've seen another generation. I think it was actually Hera versus aM.Magic that happened to be the case. Look at this. Two Huntables romantically close to each other, 14 deer out there. Sora Kuma is immediately moving out to take down the hunt though. That's gonna hurt Hera pretty badly. You see, Hera is looking for Huntables on the other side, but that's actually pretty unlucky because this is the big fish over here in the middle. This is what really is important when it comes to killing those Huntables. Of course, Hera can still trigger some wolves, and he's... What is... Look at that micro, it's just crazy. Hera's scout micro with the Russ is absolutely amazing. The rate of fire that he's achieving on that is brutal. There is the hunting cabin, scouts already coming out. Sora Kuma will take down the Huntables, and I appreciate that. He has played a lot of games as the Russ, so he knows exactly how to fight against the Russ here. The question is, what is he gonna do? Just go full Spearman Rush with the Holy Roman Empire? Because the HRA is not a civilization that you see a lot in this tournament, simply because they seem to be a little underwhelming in Feudal Age. There's already a Prelate out to boost the food gatherers of our red player, Sora Kuma. Now, the thing here is that you gotta boost the gold miners at some point. Because the thing is, as Hera takes some shots on his scout from the TC, the thing is that you spend your gold on a Prelate anyways, and now the Prelate will boost your food income. So if you don't send the Prelate to boost the gold, you are going to be floating a lot of food when you won't have the gold for Feudal Age. Or at least that's a common problem. I'm not sure if Sora Kuma is going to have that over here, because so far it looks like he's going to have decent resources. But I still believe he's going to be a little short on gold. Looks like Lumber Camp is coming in. I'm curious to see what Sora Kuma wants to do. Because it's very possible he tries to go for sort of an aggressive Spearman play against the Knights of his opponent. Meanwhile, for Hera, I would say he's going to play Golden Gate. He did that against aM.Magic in the previous round. We'll see if that's the case here, but I would suspect it is. And it's actually perfect eco balance for Sora Kuma, so apologies for doubting him, because that's a near perfect eco balance. He seems to have practiced the HRE build quite a bit here. And this is definitely a surprise civilization to play with. Let's see what he's aging up with. He's going with the Aachen Chapel, which is the landmark that you sort of have to go for when you're playing the Old Roman Empire. The alternative is the Minewerk Palace, which is basically a blacksmith that gives you technologies cheaper. But the Aachen Chapel gives such a big range boost to the Prelate. In fact, it's going to impact the berries, it's going to impact the wood line. So that's just such a big eco boost to the Prelate of Sora Kuma over here. Alright, Hera is going up with the Golden Gate, as you would expect. He will probably be placing a second TC over here on the berries and the gold. That's probably by far the best spot right now. He's got 4 on wood only, but he's piling up wood. And of course, he just needs to buy the stone he needs. Looking at the bounty, by the way, Hera's gotten to 225, and not bad given the fact that he missed out on this big patch of deer here. And if he finds one more wolf, he's all set. There's actually a patch of Huntables here that he hasn't taken down, so he could easily get to level 2 here. Would be pretty neat for himself, especially because he's gonna need a bit more gold to be able to buy the 200 the 300 stone with the 200 gold. You see, now Hera has enough gold to buy the stone he needs. And for Sora Kuma, what is the idea? I have seen a Russ game between Hera and Doubt yesterday. That was Russ versus Holy Roman Empire. It was French Pass, I believe. Doubt played HRE and Hera played the Russ. And what Doubt did was just go for a very, very spearman heavy game, try to hold off the knights, and when Hera reacted to that with the cav archers of the Russ in Castle Age, Doubt just went full infantry flood into Springolds. There's the first barracks coming in. Looks like villagers are already moving out for Hera. I'm not sure how long he can take those huntables here, so he's gotta take it as long as it's possible. Here comes the hunting cabin for Hera out there. So, Aachen Chapel almost finished. That's actually a pretty slow feudal age here for Sora Kuma, by the way. He only built that landmark with 2 vills. You see, on the other side, Hera already is in feudal age, and he has a stable up and a knight out as well. Also, buying the stone? Nope, he's not buying the stone for now, so he's saving up those trade transactions. Plus, of course, he wants to make some army presence felt on the battlefield. The problem here for Sora Kuma is that he doesn't have an army right now, and you see he's getting forced off from that gold quite early on. Some walls coming in on the left side to try and limit the movement of Hera. I kind of like that. Just try to play a slow game here. I still don't know what's the concept behind the HRE though for Sora Kuma. I really don't know. He never used French in this set, and if you ask most of the people, they say that French is auto-win. I don't think it's an auto-win, but it's one of the most powerful civilizations in the game right now, so I feel like as Hera is triggering that board, look at that. He's using the scout to drag away the attention of the boar, and the scout is self-healing, so it's not a big deal that you lose the HP on it. And now Hera is able to take down the boar, gets 75 gold for it. This way he's already through tier 2 in the bounty. So the thing I wanted to discuss over here is that, as I said, I'm not 100% sure what exactly the game plan is for Sora Kuma here with the HRE. And while it feels a little gimmicky that you say that, hey, French are an auto-win, even if it's not an automatic win, French are a very, very powerful civilization, and we haven't seen that from Sora Kuma. So I was hoping for some sort of Holy Roman Empire special here, something that really justifies picking this civilization over the French. Because, really, from what we have seen today in the qualifiers, French have like a very, very high win percentage. I would say something like 70% plus. So, French versus Russ is something that would have been interesting to see here. Looks like he's trying to go for a fast castle. Look at that. It's actually going to be the Spearman Springald play. It's very possible that Sora Kuma was expecting the Russ play here. He saw that he actually won with Russ against the French, and maybe he even saw the Doubt versus Hera rated game that I have seen yesterday, because it was streamed by Doubt, I think. Might even have been streamed by Hera, I'm not 100% sure, but I most definitely saw Doubt playing in it, and it was a very similar strategy. On French Pass it's a little easier to pull off because it's a more defendable map, but you see, the idea is that you just want to go for a fast castle here. And it's working out so far for Sora Kuma. Now, Hera is actually gonna be popping out some archers though, and that's where things will get ugly for Sora Kuma. Hera is also able to leverage that map control and use the huntables. He hasn't gotten survival techniques just yet, however. In come the knights, and here comes the Castle Age, the Regni's Cathedral coming in for Sora Kuma. That would allow him to pick up some relics. But, oh boy, that building is a little exposed, and I might have a deja vu feeling over here. What if that cathedral gets denied? The entire game plan for Sora Kuma could go down the drain. Because I think his game plan was Spearman Springald. The cathedral is still being built by one villager, and there's a product as well healing up the spearman, but those spears just got evaporated by all those archers, and while the game plan might have been good for Sora Kuma, I just feel like he's getting punished really badly for it. I think that this game plan is good for more slow-paced or closed maps, like, as I said, French Pass, where Dao did this. But on such an open map, you can't just let the Rust player take all these huntables here in the middle, and in general, you can't just afford to make no army, and Sora Kuma taps out. A little bit of an anticlimactic end to this set over here. Hera is the one that gets into the main event of Genesis $20,000 AoE 4 tournament. Very, very good set over here. I'm a little disappointed about the final one. I was really hoping for something more from the Holy Roman Empire here. And I feel like Sora Kuma had a plan, he was just never able to get to it. And in retrospective, he might be saying that, hey, I should have picked French, because maybe playing French here would have helped him. I don't know, like, he won with Russ against French himself, so he might not think that highly of the French. But the Holy Roman Empire is definitely an out-of-the-box civilization selection at this point in the current meta. And because of that, I was hoping for something special. Still, I think Sora Kuma made a name for himself over here in AoE 4. Getting into the top 16 is actually a pretty decent accomplishment. Hera is going to be one of the players to represent the AoE 2 scene in the main event of Genesis. But Sora Kuma was pretty close to this one. I mean, he was one game away really from qualifying. Maybe if his plan works out a little bit better over here, or if his 2TC boom works slightly better in the first game, this could have been a different scenario. But Sora Kuma, he actually did defeat Slam in the previous round, so he went through some big names to get here, and he actually made it very competitive against Hera, but Hera is the one advancing to the main event.